Hi, everyone. It's Tim Conley, your association board chair. It is Thursday, the 23rd. I'm actually on vacation. I'm not on the coast this week. I'm over in the Mount Hood area. Had to get away. Got to the point they're literally tearing up the hallway to my unit, and and the deck out in front of it is getting plywooded. We had a board meeting on Monday. It did run the full 2 hours. All went well. I mean, we had a half a dozen members attend, maybe eight plus the board and the management companies. So there were roughly 15 of us there. At different points, and we appreciate the feedback and the input from the members. The first one of the first items on the agenda is always the owners forum, at which point you are welcome to join the board meeting, log in. I open the floor. People put a hand up. You can say or ask anything you want to, and then I will direct the question to the most appropriate person to answer it. Sometimes it's me as chair, could be Lori, our treasurer, could be Susan, Nini, Eve, or Lori, the treasurer. So we did that, some back and forth with the members. And then we just kind of plowed through the agenda, different reports, chair's report, vice chair's report, et cetera, et cetera. We run pretty tight meetings, I think. I can get a little controlish, like you stop talking, you start talking. But with controlling the sort of traffic, the flow of the conversation, it keeps the meeting moving. We discuss things, bring them to a vote if we need to, and then move on them. Um, I have to say, at this point in my video to you, there is simply too much going on at the building right now for me to even try to recap. Like, what's the highlights? In fact, let me show you this real quick. The management company. Let me share this. You should be looking at the report that was posted on the 17th for the upcoming week running through tomorrow. This was everything that they were working on this week. This is available on this charter.com community Surf Tides Plaza. You can get your login from, if you don't have it, you can email Lisa. Hang on a second. When I get to the bottom, I think her contact info is here. But this is just installation of deck metal flashing, et cetera, et cetera. There's uh, so much going on all at once that here's your contacts. You can reach out to Lisa or Richard at the association. There it is, Lisa Foster at charter.com. So you can ask her if you need assistance logging into this. I'll stop sharing. So it's because there's several subcontract groups on site at any time. There were nine, maybe with a foreman, 10 people working just on the west side to get that battened down. That has really been the priority. With the weather that's coming this weekend, our first, I would say, I don't know, they're calling them atmospheric rivers or whatever these days. We're going to get belted at the coast, high winds, high rain. They're working as hard as they can yesterday, all day today, to be sure that when the storm hits, it's not going to wind up inside your unit. So, the last weekend was a good test. The rain was mostly straight down. The stuff that's coming next is what it is. So they got a crew out back. They got a crew out front tearing up the walkways and chiseling out the last of the gypcrete or concrete, into your unit. Fortunately, there's hardly anybody there at the moment trying to get in and out of the unit. So they've got all that going on. They're plywooding all the decks on that east side up above the parking deck. I can say the parking deck has been, the top of it has been repaired and sealed and coated and covered. And right now we're putting down paint samples. As of yesterday, there were stripes starting to go on to see what paint is going to stick to that new material and stay there for a long time. So that's all going on. We're inching closer. I've told them I want that parking deck open ASAP, and they're listening to it. I think the crew that started the covering back there, of any of the subs that have been on the project, if anyone dogged it a little bit, they did at the start of it. I think they wasted some good weather, but this kind of stuff's going to come up. They got right on them. They doubled down on the effort and got that parking deck covered in between storms. So it's covered now, getting painted, and we'll open it just as soon as we can. The underneath part of that parking deck is yet to be done. There's a lot of cement work down there. They got to chip into where the rebar was starting to rot, and don't get alarmed, it's safe. but they got to chip in there and seal that stuff up. That's a whole concrete crew that isn't on site yet, but they will be. Um, just trying to think of the other high points. The fence and the gate downstairs. The gate had a blip last week where it wouldn't open for a while, but we approved actually at the board meeting. We approved a little bit more than what we had budgeted to get that done, but it was, I don't know, 9,000 at the most over, just because it was hard to get a contractor to come in and deal with all that rusted fence and the rusted gate and all that. But good news is it'll be done. Um, as far as the overall project budget, we're on budget where we have not gotten into the contingency much. The biggest issue there was the association charter let us contract directly with someone to abate or to mitigate some asbestos that was underneath that carpeting, which is all gone except for the stairs. There was some hot uh, drywall tape around the windows. Actually, all of the windows are being taken off, the drywall tape mitigated and put back on temporary. That's going on this week. I don't know if they'll be completely done. A little less worried about that side of the building. It doesn't get a direct wind-driven rain on it. So, at any rate, the abatement people should be finishing up before too much longer. That was about 100 grand hit. But that's why we had the 300 plus in contingency, and we're still doing well. Question came up at the board meeting by an owner. What percentage of the project is completely done? And that is a tough one. Best metric we have on that is what percentage of the project has been paid for at this point, and I think it's around 30%, but it's a moving target because the bills, the work is done. It's approved by the engineer. It's approved by the treasurer and I. It goes to the bank. They have their own approval process, and then it gets paid. So if you look at the bottom line of what's been paid relative to the amount of the contract, that's probably your best metric for percentage of the project done. With all of the tear up done, oh, by the way, there was some termites in the wall by the office. It just goes on and on. They killed them. They're rebuilding the office wall. I don't think that's going to be too much of an additional cost, but those are the little unexpecteds that it's called the contingency fund. At any rate, I'm starting to go long on the video here. Suffice to say that the project is on time, uh, roughly on budget. No big surprises. It is tedious. It's wearing. Teresa Conley and I have a front row seat, as does a few others. Tina, a couple other renters on the first floor, Nancy up on the second floor. There's only a handful of us that are staying there. Sorry if I missed anyone. And we see it daily. So, at any rate, good to get away. I'll be back on the property by Monday, Tuesday next week, just to see how things look after the biggest part of the storm. It's going to continue to rain, and we'll keep it rocking and rolling. As always, you can directly email Lori with questions about treasury stuff, me about, big contract issues, any, I guess, complaints, concerns that you didn't choose to bring to the board meeting. Just get them to us in email and we'll respond as quickly as we can. Our secretary, Randy, continues to be super good at maintaining all the documentation. Oh, speaking of Randy, makes me think of two other things I can give you a quick verbal update on. One is the litigation, the lawsuit for the previous work that was done out back. Interesting development there. We had some rot that extended into a wall that I think is being attributed to the shoddy work that was done. That was the worst case scenario, was that the stuff had moved from the deck and we had water intrusion in, and we did on a couple of units. Now, with all of that documented, that goes to the attorney and they use that as what's called discovery material. And our case is being presented. The defendant had subcontractors who had insurance. So it's like our lawyer, contractors insurance, subcontractors insurance, yada, yada, yada. And I promised in the board meeting I'd have some deadlines on what the next steps are with that. I will get them and see that you're updated at the next regular board meeting. There was another legal thing, the unit on which we foreclosed up on the third floor has yet again found a way to wiggle into bankruptcy court and get some protection. That's active. Every time I contact a lawyer about that, it costs money. So I'm very careful about the communication there. Legal fees are large. But they're also included in what we're seeking to get from that unit when it is foreclosed, which we hope will happen. But it's just we're carrying one. We're dragging that little anchor, have been for years. Um, the best I can say about that is that it won't happen again. We will not in any way have an owner get that far behind on dues before we, pursue attaching stuff. So, in fact, I had just emailed the treasurer and management company on a couple of past quarterly dues that weren't paid on time. And yeah, we have to have money coming in because we certainly got money going out. And that's especially true for the special assessment. So anyway, just when I think I'm done talking, more. Thanks so much for your patience throughout the whole project. The community's been great. The construction company was, in fact, a good choice. They're doing a good job. I'm so glad I don't have to sit here and report a whole pile full of problems we're having. But we're in it, closing in the last bit of October here, and we'll just see where it goes. I will keep you updated as always. Thanks.